last night, the judge in this case threatened to sanction Hunter's legal team after one of his attorneys allegedly lied about who she was while asking to remove IRS whistleblower testimony from the court docket. The judge demanding answers, writing, quote, "It appears that the caller misrepresented her identity and who she worked for in an attempt to improperly convince the clerk's office to remove the amicus materials from the docket. Therefore, it is hereby ordered that on or before 9 p.m. today, counsel for defendant shall show cause as to why sanctions should not be considered for misrepresentations to the court." Now, Hunter Biden's legal team denies the allegations, calling the ordeal an unfortunate and unintentional miscommunication. But the matter is expected to come up in today's plea hearing. This after House Ways and Means Committee Chairman Jason Smith filed a brief yesterday morning requesting that whistleblower information be considered in the judge's decision on this plea deal. Quote, "The defendant appears to have benefited from political interference, which calls into question the propriety of the investigation of the U.S. Attorney's Office. In the interest of full transparency and fairness for all citizens, it is critical for the court to have this relevant information when evaluating the plea agreement." Meanwhile, House Republicans are considering an impeachment inquiry into President Biden for his alleged ties to his son's shady business dealings. Listen.
In order to get the information, you may have to stand up a committee that then would open an impeachment inquiry, but just to do the investigation, particularly because the White House isn't cooperating at all. The American people deserve to know if the president's a crook. And clearly what he's told the American people so far just isn't true. It's not true at all.
But the president doesn't seem to be too concerned.
Mr. President, McCarthy says he may try an impeachment inquiry to get to the bottom of McCarthy.
Now, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is telling Fox News Digital that House Republicans will open an impeachment inquiry if information is withheld in their ongoing probes.
Uh-oh. Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Mike. What day is it, Mike? Guess what today is?
Today I might do something.
Woo-woo!
How happy are you that we're going to jail?
I'd say happier than a camel on Wednesday.
Hump day?
Ladies and gentlemen, today is Wednesday, July 26, 2023. Speaker McCarthy finally drops the gavel on Joe Biden. Impeachment says Joe Biden lied to the American people about his son's business dealings. Baby, we are going to impeach Joe. We're here. Hunter Biden in court today as his lawyer accused of misleading clerk with prank phone call, and Kash Patel joins the show. It's your boy, Benny Johnson. Shout it out if you're in the Benny Brigade in the comment section. I want to know. Get those salt shakers ready. We got a packed show for you. Hunter Biden is accused of embezzling an enormous amount of money, not paying taxes on multi-millions of dollars. It's all coming down. The schemes and scandals are all coming down because the Biden family can control the printing presses for the American dollar. Do not let these scumbags run your future, your retirement. Invest in something of real value that they can't control, which is precious metals. Invest with my friends at Allegiance Gold, ladies and gentlemen. Allegiance Gold will take care of you. They'll help protect your IRA, your 401k, or they'll deliver actual physical gold and silver to your hot little hands. You can stare at it in the moonlight, caress the ring, and call it your precious. Whatever you want to do with it, just hedge against the declining dollar. Get up to $5,000 with free silver with a qualifying purchase when you visit protectwithbenny.com today. Protectwithbenny.com today. Do not let Joe Biden play Monopoly with your money. Now, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Hunter Biden in court as we speak. We may hear about this issue as we speak. The issue at hand. Hunter Biden is trying as hard as they can to get this filthy plea deal across the finish line. Now, they have shot themselves in the foot time and time again. Here's Hunter Biden arriving in court. Why does Hunter Biden get a motorcade? I'm just going to straight up ask the question. Why does Hunter Biden get a motorcade? Hunter Biden arrived in court with like a 20-car motorcade. Why does he get a motorcade? Why do these people get protections? They get protections because the entire superstate is dependent on these people never suffering any consequences. Why are they trying to pull one over on the judge as they arrived in court? We're going to get to this, ladies and gentlemen, later on in the show, but Hunter Biden's own lawyers called the court and misrepresented themselves as members of a Republican committee to try and get the whistleblower testimony against Hunter Biden stricken from the record. This is insane. In any other situation, this would all be thrown out, everyone would be disbarred, and everyone would be in jail for these kind of things. But this is what you do when you are a criminal family, when you're a little princeling, when you're the Uday and Qusay Hussein, and you believe that your daddy is the dictator. And your daddy is protected by all law enforcement entities. This is why Republicans need to get off their asses inside of these Republican states and start prosecuting the Bidens. Do you know that you can do to the Bidens anything that is being done right now to Donald Trump? The Bidens had business in Louisiana. The Bidens had business in Florida. Where the F are the attorney generals in these states going after the Bidens for their crimes that were committed inside of the territory of these states? The Bidens did a ton of business in red states. They weren't, every state that they stepped foot in or made a dollar in could open up a criminal investigation into the Bidens right now on a state level that the feds could not F with. So let's get going, baby. Let's get going. Now, I will always and eternally admit when I was wrong. You, I adore you. I love you. If you're in the Benny Brigade, you should sign up. The Benny Brigade is so incredibly based. Ladies and gentlemen, starting this week, we are going to begin the functionality where you get to ask a question live to our guests. Today we have Kash Patel joining the show. Yesterday we have Lauren Boebert on the show. You will be able to ask a question live. We had Jeff Clark on Monday. We are booking the best guests. We have big announcements too. Some of the biggest people some of the biggest names in the country will be joining the show live. Don't you want to ask them the first question? We will be giving the first question to the Benny Brigade. So join the brigade today. Go to bennyjohnson.com/brigade. Also get your sick made in America Brigader keychain leather made right here in America by small business owners, veterans. More to come on that, ladies and gentlemen. But join the brigade today. Ask the questions. And here are the questions that we will ask of you. Do you believe that I am an honest person? Yes, you should say yes because your boy Benny admits when he's wrong. Okay? I am okay admitting to you when I got it wrong. Boy, oh boy, did I get out hard against Kevin McCarthy. Man, you heard day and night, rip roaring. Yo, we hated McCarthy as a squish, and it ended Matt Gaetz and Lauren Boeberts, they're holding the line. McCarthy's a rhino. Man, we covered that wall to wall, right, Rolls Royce? We were wall to wall on McCarthy. We were live streaming late at night. We were live streaming in the morning. And I came out against McCarthy, and hot damn, was I wrong. There is no such thing as a perfect man, okay? There's no such thing as a perfect woman. There has been a perfect son of God that walked the earth, and that's about it. Okay? So especially in politics, if you're looking for the perfect people, you're looking in the wrong place. That goes for Donald Trump. That goes for everyone. But if you're looking for people that actually followed through on what they said they were going to do to the best of their abilities with the restrictions that they've been given, boy, Kevin McCarthy has done some damn fine work. I got to tell you this, man. And I don't know Kevin McCarthy. I'd love to bring him on the show. But I'm telling you that Kevin McCarthy's done some damn fine work. Check this out. Kevin McCarthy threatens Biden impeachment again. Doubles down on Speaker's claims that the president has lied to the American public about his son, Hunter's business deals, and is hiding info like Richard Nixon, which is such a bomb rap against Richard Nixon, one of our greatest presidents. But ladies and gentlemen, I digress. Kevin McCarthy straight up saying 2 days in a row, we are going to open an impeachment inquiry on Joe Biden. This is genius, and I'll tell you why in just a second. Check this out.
You have the president saying one thing that we've proven is not true. You've got IRS whistleblowers saying something when it comes to government treating the Bidens different. You've got an informant claiming that the Biden family had been bribed. Should you ignore that, or you should investigate that? The only way you can investigate that is through an impeachment inquiry, so the committee would have the power to get all the documents that they would need. What I said last night, and I said it before, when more of this continues to unravel, it rises to the level of impeachment inquiry where you would have the Congress to have the power to get to all these answers. I would think the Biden family would want to answer these questions as well, provide the documents instead of holding them back. We're watching this administration use government much like Richard Nixon used by denying us to get the information that we need.
So this is a genius tactic. The reason why this is a genius tactic is that an impeachment inquiry gives some massive powers to the GOP majority in Congress to truly look into and investigate the actions of Joe Biden and the action of Joe Biden whilst he was an executive, the vice president of the United States, which is where these crimes were committed. And then now Joe Biden as president is covering up these crimes. So McCarthy has been asked his Republican colleagues to open up an impeachment inquiry. Republicans are, of course, championing this. Ralph Norman of South Carolina said the Biden regime is now going to finally come to a close. So you have members of Congress that are openly saying this will become the end of the Biden regime. Why is this a genius move? This is a genius move because of a clip I'm about to play for you. A reporter who, in spite of the insane preponderance of evidence, dude, I mean, you're talking like these libs. I cannot understand the mind of a lib. Okay, I cannot get it. Donald Trump is not a perfect person. Okay, McCarthy's not a perfect person. We take, as sane Americans, we take our politicians with their lumps and their scars, all right? There are bad things, things that I disagreed with, good things, things I agree with. Libs are totally different. Because liberalism is a religion, because Marxism is a religion, they look at their politicians as deities. They frame Barack Obama as like the second coming of Christ. The guy can raise and lower the ocean levels. That didn't help his chef out when he was paddleboarding, but what can you do? Barack Obama said he can raise and lower the ocean. Got it. Maybe that's why he builds all of his homes on pristine ocean front. Who knows? But libs will say, show me the evidence. Show me the evidence of Joe Biden's crimes. And you'll say, hey, here, look at all the assets on the laptop. Here's 400 confirmed felonies, federal felonies on the laptop. And they'll say, no, show me the real evidence. You'll say, okay, fine. Here's Hunter Biden's videos and text messages about being in business with his father, selling out America to our geopolitical enemies around the world, Ukraine, Russia, China. No, show me the real evidence. Well, all right, here's Joe Biden admitting on camera that he got the prosecutors fired in Ukraine. He admitted to the crimes that he's being accused of in the FD 1023. No, show me the real evidence. Okay, here's the FBI's documents from their paid sources, the FD 1023, on Joe Biden's crimes. No, libs will say, we want the real evidence. And so you'll say, all right, fine. Here's IRS and FBI whistleblowers who are gay and Democrat, who voted for Joe Biden, who are coming out as whistleblowers saying in testimony that this guy is corrupt and that the DOJ is obstructing justice by covering for them. No. We want the real evidence. It'll go on like that forever and ever and ever. And the apparatchiks of their religion, the little ministers, the little, the acolytes of their religion are the press members on Capitol Hill. These little rotten reporters who run around and ask questions like this of McCarthy after the insurmountable evidence that is blowing the doors off Congress. Reporters have the audacity, these sick, cultish freaks have the audacity to say stuff like this to Kevin McCarthy.
What do you say to the moderates in your party who say you continue to side and appease the right wing on many issues, including
such as what?
On talking about an impeachment inquiry of President Biden, on appropriations, on a long list of things?
Well, I don't know, because you haven't quoted anybody. You just say something. You frame some brand of something. But let me answer your question. It's very forceful and truthful in this. I have nothing to do about who in the party. This is about America. And I raise to you. I've watched you on TV. You write every day about covering government. So right now you have a president who told you and every other American that he's never talked to as a family about business and they never got $1 from China. You now know that's not true. You have a president, while he was vice president, that got 16 out of 17 payments from Romania while he was president. You now had never known that before he was elected, but you now have a document that the FBI had that didn't further to investigate, even though the Justice Department said there was merit, that said they were bribed and told they had to run through shell companies, which you never knew about, but now you know there are shell companies.
So here's all of the evidence laid before you. But where's the evidence? So they're panicking now. There was a huge mistake that was made by Merrick Garland. Merrick Garland could have brushed this all under the rug by charging Hunter Biden on day one. Now you're like, oh, well, they would never do that. But think about the how tactically smart that would have been. If you just charged Hunter Biden on day one with like these little slap on the wrist crimes, right? Everyone would have said, oh, okay, all right. Ow. Hunter's guilty. And it would have made a lot of this stuff go away. There would have been a lot of mewling, a lot of complaining from various people who've been watching this stuff, but it would have made a lot of it go away. Oh, what? Look, Hunter's guilty. Okay, he paid for his crimes, right? And and a lot of us would have moved on. At this show, we wouldn't. The brigade would never have moved on. But nonetheless, okay? The salt shakers would not be as full as they are today because Merrick Garland allowed Hunter Biden to not be charged all the way through a Republican Congress with subpoena power to come in and begin to drill down on these crimes. And what we have found has been just utterly shocking. The insulation of leftism is the fact that they are led by a religion of Marxism, a godless, atheistic religion that worships man and worships power. And therefore, Joe Biden can do no wrong. That's why Joe Biden behaves like this when you ask him about being impeached. This is from yesterday.
Mr. President, McCarthy says he may try an impeachment inquiry to get to the bottom of McCarthy.
So he goes, Cringe Jean-Pierre, on the other hand, when asked about impeachment, had her typical, just normal cringe alert. Please enjoy.
I wanted to ask about the impeachment inquiry.
About the
impeachment inquiry.
Oh, okay.
So before the briefing, McCarthy said, all I'm saying is we go where the truth is. You have to get to the bottom of the truth, and there's only one way Congress can do that with an impeachment inquiry. What's the White House's reaction to that idea, that the sentiment that this is the only option for Republicans?
That's for Republicans to decide. I'm not going to weigh in on what they may or may not do, or how House Republicans want to move forward. What I'm going to weigh in is how the president is going to continue to move forward for the American people.
Cringe Jean-Pierre, just doing an amazing job there. I'm not going to comment on that. I'm not going to say anything on that. I'm going to read. I'm going to do my entire press conference like this. They're banning reporters from the White House now, right? So the White House press pool is now beginning to constrict the number of people who can ask questions. They're going to get rid of Simon Atiba. They're going to get rid of these smaller outlets that actually ask real probing questions of the administration for the regime, because these people are Marxists. These people are Marxist in the structure of their lives. Marxism is all about the ascendancy to power. You have to destroy every system and institution that came before you. You have to say it's shot through with racism or inequality or white supremacy, and then you take that system over. And then it becomes good because it becomes an organ of the state. That's what's happened with the FBI. This is what we call cultural Marxism. It's what happens with the Justice Department. It's what's happened right now with the organs of the federal government. And it's why every organ of the federal government has coalesced around the Bidens in order to protect them. Like a warm, rotted, diseased blanket. You cannot get at the Bidens, because to come at the Bidens would be to come at the entire system of power, the structure of power, the control of power. And these people are powerless if someone like Donald Trump gets into office. It proves that they haven't rigged the systems enough in order to maintain power forever, which is what the goal of Marxism. Ladies and gentlemen, what does Congress have to say about this? Well, Wesley Hunt, the friend of the show, was on a barn burner yesterday as it pertains to why we should impeach Joe Biden. Watch.
Talking about impeachment, Congressman, I know the people of Texas, especially your district, would support something like this. But how do you make the case to the American people?
You know, this has actually been one of the most corrupt administrations that we have seen in modern history. We could literally track $10 million being funneled through the Biden family from bereavement, and we have the evidence of this. I cannot imagine any president using his power, or former president or vice president or any politician for that matter, using their power to funnel money to their family through their siblings. This is ridiculous. It's up to us on the House Judiciary Committee to continue to make this case to the American people. And I also want to say this too. Quite frankly, if we do impeach Biden, it's only going to rally the troops around him. Politically, it may not be the best move, but in my opinion, he leaves us no choice. And if articles of impeachment are brought forward, Wesley Hunt will be a yes.
So, what are Democrats saying, ladies and gentlemen? We have an interesting article here from CNN. We're still working on the video, but this is going to be the defense. Okay, this is what they've come up with right now. This is going to be the defense. We actually got the video. Okay, fantastic. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen, while we get this video loaded. Can we put up the tweet while we load the video? Poor Rolls Royce. There we go. All right. The defense is going to be, so the Democrats are trotting out. Get ready for this. Okay, prepare for what's about to happen. They're going to trot out that there has been no crime. There's no crime. You can't point to a crime. That's now the line. So they chose very specifically this member of Congress to come out and say, wait a second. How can they possibly impeach Joe Biden when there's no crime? Watch.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy suggests that they may be close to an impeachment inquiry of President Biden. What's your reaction to that?
My reaction is, where's the evidence? There is no evidence of any wrongdoing by the president. And Mr. McCarthy knows that. This is everything in upside down, because the former president, who was so corrupt and crude and base, engaged in such criminal activity, now we're going to try to deflect, or McCarthy's going to try to deflect.
Where's the evidence that Donald Trump engaged in such criminal activity? Got it. See that? Oh, it's just amazing. The execution there. The wrap-up smear. It's not me. It's the other guy who's corrupt. It's not all the evidence that we have laid before it. Where's the evidence and where's the crime? Ladies and gentlemen, you need to be prepared. You need to be prepared. This is why you join the brigade. This is why we watch the show. This is why we subscribe. You must be prepared. We have thought through this. Luckily, our enemies are stupid. They could have just charged if they were even remotely tactically smart. Okay? Amateurs think through strategy. Professionals think through logistics. If they were logistically smart, they would have just charged Hunter Biden on day one and made sure that Republicans with subpoena power could have never actually dug into this. Instead, their hubris prevented them from charging Hunter Biden until they were absolutely forced to, and we suddenly had all the evidence. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when they ask, where is the evidence? I will give to you the FD 1023 that details. Maybe we can we pull up the actual document? Let's pull up the actual document. Let me tell you what it details, and that helpful chart, please again. The FD 1023 details the crimes, okay? And this is going to be very simple. Bookmark this moment, because we have done all of the work to make sure that you have an answer when your lib aunt, who is childless and red teeth from all the cheap box of wine she's been drinking at Thanksgiving, because that's going to be when Joe Biden's impeached. It's going to be around Thanksgiving, okay? We have a lot of friends in Congress. They've been telling us how this schedule is going to look. So at Thanksgiving, your aunt is going to sit there and she's going to be screaming that there's no the foam coming out of her mouth, the red teeth, red line in her teeth. She's going to be screaming that there's no crimes. There's no crimes. What are you charging him with? Okay, so here's how you answer that. 1, the Constitution states precisely what we must charge presidents with to impeach them. Here is the reading of the Constitution, ladies and gentlemen. Article 2, Section 4. The overview of the impeachment clause. The president and vice president and all civil officers of the United States shall be removed from office on impeachment for or conviction of, here we go, treason, high crimes and misdemeanors, bribery. bribery. Oh, it's almost like our founders knew. It's almost like God loves this country and could predict what would happen with a superstructure of a family that is not term limited, like George Washington term limited himself and said, no, I'm leaving. I'm not going to be a dictator for life. Joe Biden, of course, has no moral qualms with being dictator for life. Joe Biden has no moral fabric in his heart. Joe Biden has abused his son, abused his wife, abused his babysitter, whose name's Jill, abused his own granddaughter by not acknowledging her existence. Joe Biden, of course, has no moral fabric at all and will immediately jump into the crime that our founders predicted, which is bribery. They will take the largesse of the government and they will put it up for sale. Now, we have a very helpful chart here, ladies and gentlemen, to show you precisely how the Bidens did that. Here is the FD 1023 in visual form. Thank you, Benny Brigade, for supporting this show because it allows us to create graphics like this, and it makes it very helpful for your dumb wine aunt to explain to her what bribery means. Bribery is a Ukrainian oil company named Burisma that bribed the Biden family to withhold American aid to get a prosecutor fired who was looking into Burisma. That's what a bribe is. Give me money and I will give you a policy. You get a policy and I get money. See that? There's your crime. That's all you need to see. The FBI knew about it. We have the details. We have the authority to say, yes, Joe Biden should be impeached. There's your crime. There's your Constitution, the letter of the law. Don't like it? Die mad. That's what you say to your wine aunt. And send her flailing and screaming with MSNBC blaring on her phone, with her box of wine under one arm and her tofurkey under the other arm. Send her screaming out into your porch. All right? To go get into her, Prius with the coexist sticker on the back. With the sign that says, hate has no home here. As she screams that you are a racist. As she crashes her car into your gas-guzzling diesel truck. I don't know. Whatever. Hey, listen. I don't want... Hey. I want everyone to have a good holiday. But that's the messaging that you need to know. You need to be on message. You need to understand that this is what they're going to come after us with. Where's the crime? Nobody has told us any crime. What are they charging him with? Well, there it is. In the Constitution. Remember this, ladies and gentlemen. Article 2, Section 4. Article 2, Section 4. Put it into brainstem. Article 2, Section 4. Bribery is a high crime and a misdemeanor that you can charge the president with, and you can get them impeached. The end. And the White House knows this because you've noticed the White House, which tries to play it very calm, cool, and collected, is starting to change their messaging on Joe Biden. You're starting to notice, if you pay attention and you have the attention span of a gnat, that the White House is beginning to be like, actually, there's been a rhetoric change about how Joe Biden goes about business with his family. See if you can spot it here.
I never discussed a single thing with my son about anything having to do with Ukraine. No one has indicated I have. We've always kept everything separate. I've never discussed my business or their business, my sons or daughters.
But the White House has shifted that language recently to no involvement.
The president was never in business with his son.
Never involved. Not never discussed, just never involved. It's made for a great... I mean, you might have... Did you see Barbie? Did you see Oppenheimer? Let me tell you the movie that I was watching this weekend with my boy Barack.
I know who I need to talk to. Hey, listen, can we get together?
I don't discuss business with my son. I did my job. I never discussed a single thing with my son about anything having to do with Ukraine. He's done nothing wrong. I trust him. I have faith in him.
Nothing wrong.
I'm confident. My son did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. Never discussed my business or their business, my sons or daughters. Never spoken to my son about his overseas business dealings. And because I don't discuss things with my son or my family, you know there's not one single bit of evidence. Not one little tiny bit.
A whistleblower also claimed evidence of Hunter Biden using the father's name to demand payments, certain that between the man sitting next to me and every person he knows, and my ability to forever hold a grudge that you will regret not following my direction. I'm sitting here waiting for the call with my father.
Now that is a great movie. Yeah, it gets me. It gets me every time.
Oh, it's precious. It's so special. Your sin shall find you out. You're not smarter. You're not smarter than God. In fact, if you rise to a level of leadership, power, and stature, if you are given talents, as the scriptures would say, if you are given much in life, oh, it'll be harder than a camel going through the eye of a needle, as it were said, for you to enter the kingdom of heaven, for you to have any type of morality attached to your name, for you to live a good life, you will have to have strong moral character. Joe Biden is the opposite. Joe Biden is going to go down in flames. And we have a lot more on this, ladies and gentlemen, and something that has really thrown a wrench into this sweetheart plea agreement for Hunter Biden. But first, you are going to want to make sure that you are connected with us in order to get all of this sweet news. It is going to be ramped up right now. We're in the sort of slow doldrums of summer. August, things are going to really grind a little bit slower, and then it's going to accelerate, and it's going to be hot, and you're going to want to stay connected with us. That is why we use Patriot Mobile. Ladies and gentlemen, Patriot Mobile is a company that we trust. We are going to eventually have functionality for you to text in questions and call into the show. We're very, very excited about that. We're going to be doing that through our partner with Patriot Mobile. But Patriot Mobile is the company we trust because they just have the right principles, right? They have the same cell phone service as every other company because they operate off the same towers. That's how the law is written. But they actually have your best interest in mind morally and your same values. Patriot Mobile is the only company that supports the sanctity of life, the Second Amendment, our military, our veterans, our first responders, and free speech. Isn't that important in a cell phone company? Get free activation today with the offer code Benny. Ask about their coverage guarantee while you're there. Ladies and gentlemen, patriotmobile.com/Benny, patriotmobile.com/Benny, or click the link in the description. Well, what do we have here, ladies and gentlemen? You're going to have a situation where Congress is going to be calling in the attorneys who were supposed to be covering the Bidens, who were supposed to be prosecuting the Bidens in Delaware. Now, Jeff Clark, who's on the show, who worked at the DOJ, was screaming at the top of his lungs this morning, and we're going to ask Kash Patel, who will join us in just a moment about this, screaming at the top of his lungs this morning, saying, why did Bill Barr not appoint a special counsel? Why didn't Bill Barr look into this himself? Why did he refer it to Delaware? Delaware is, of course, a hotbed of Biden corruption. It's this teeny little state. It's super poorly run. It's my wife's family's from there. I can tell you, it is a deeply, deeply corrupt and rotten state. It is utterly and totally shot through with Biden apparatchiks and people that can thank the Bidens for their entire careers. And sure as hell, the people who are in charge of bringing these charges against Joe Biden were there to protect him. One of these guys was actually Joe Biden's former press secretary. My God. So what the hell was Bill Barr doing? What the hell is wrong with us? We never, ever go for the kill. Republicans never go for the kill. We always sit around and play the fool. We're always just we're always the dumb team up against the Harlem Globetrotter, the Washington Generals. We never, ever go in for the kill, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the tweet from Jeff Clark. I've asked it before, and he asked it again. Why did Bill Barr send this to the Delaware office? It's deep uniparty corruption. James Comer, who's not from Washington, D.C., who's not a swamp monster, is saying he's got to get David Weiss under oath, and he's got to do it now.
If you go back in time, Weiss was appointed by Obama for a position long before he was appointed by Trump. So their argument is no good. What the facts are is that this U.S. attorney had all sorts of conflicts of interest. But if I could ask Weiss one question when he comes to Congress, it would be this. Why did you not share that FBI Form 1023 with the IRS investigators who were investigating the Bidens for suspicious wire transactions from Ukraine. When you have a credible source of evidence in the FBI that the president took a bribe, and you have these IRS officials who have worked for years investigating these suspicious transactions, why would you not share that information? We learned in our hearing last week that the FBI agents, or that the IRS agents, never got that FBI form alleging Joe Biden took a bribe.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is now becoming a 2024 election issue. Trust me, this is going to be top of the charts. I have been speaking with a number of Republican colleagues, friends, people who I have known for a long time in Congress. They are going to be smart and strategic about this Joe Biden impeachment. This is going to be hot stuff. The press will not be able to ignore the charges. The press will not be able to ignore the evidence. The Bidens won't have any defense against the evidence, and this will stop the world from turning. As soon as they begin this impeachment process on Joe Biden that Kevin McCarthy is now doubling down on, it will begin the process of exposing to the entire country and breaking the barrier of the leftist cultists. These people, they live inside of imagine a world where, and this would be impossible for you because you're watching the show, but imagine a world where you thought that Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, that independent creators, that any site like the Daily Wire or the Blaze, even Fox News, that gets it right some of the time, Tucker Carlson, that all of this was dirty. And the only people that you should ever trust is the Associated Press and NBC, ABC, and CBS. That's it. Those are the only proper sources of news. And if you're looking at a newspaper, it's got to be the New York Times. If you lived inside of that microcosm, then you would not know jack about these donkeys that are currently running the White House. You would know nothing. It's been complete and total blackout because this is a march of cultural Marxism, institutional Marxism, to take over the institutions. And one of those institutions, of course, that creates culture is the press. And so they have taken those over and they have captured, there's a term in PR, capture and kill. They've captured the story and they've killed the story. Now, when this story comes blasting out onto the national stage, also, inversely, they can manufacture. So they can kill something that's actual corruption, and then they can manufacture. It's the real power. It's a real magical power of the presidents. They're losing that power, but they still got a little bit of it. Okay, there's still a little bit of it. They can manufacture something, right? So they can create Russiagate out of nothing. They can manufacture. They can make that the thing that the black cloud that follows Trump for years as president. It is an insane amount of power. They're abusing it. They're burning themselves in effigy. They're burning themselves to the ground while they do it. But it's important to understand the forces at play. Let's see the full landscape. Let's be smarter. Article 2, Article 4, Section 2, ladies and gentlemen. Article 2, Section 4, correction. Let's be smarter. So, they can manufacture narratives. They can capture and kill things that are against their power structure. Ladies and gentlemen, they cannot stop this issue when it bursts forth onto the 2024 stage and when it bursts forth in the impeachment hearings in Congress and everything else gets ground to a halt. And that's what's about to happen. So be prepared. Ladies and gentlemen, here's our election update. One notable Republican candidate for president has now come forward full-throatedly for Joe Biden's impeachment.
We're hearing that Kevin McCarthy might be moving forward towards an impeachment inquiry for Joe Biden over the bribes and the corruption. Do you support that?
You look at they impeached Trump for a phone call. Are you trying to tell me Biden's conduct isn't as significant as that? It's way more significant. So they are absolutely within their rights to do that. I think what the corruption that's surrounding this family is really unprecedented in the modern history of our country, and the lack of interest on this from the FBI and the Department of Justice. It shows you weaponization. There's two sides to the coin. Yeah, on the one hand, they will weaponize against the mother going go into a school board meeting in, say, Virginia and get the FBI. But on the other hand, if you're connected to the D.C. ruling class, man, you could have smoke coming out, and they will just turn a blind eye to it. There's no interest in investigating, no zealousness with search warrants or any of this other stuff. So I think the Republicans are going to have to bring some accountability because we're not going to get it from the Garland DOJ and the Christopher Wray FBI.
So Kevin McCarthy better follow through on this. Ron DeSantis is saying he is in favor of impeachment, especially based on what they did for Donald Trump, impeaching Donald Trump for Joe Biden's crimes. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see what transpires, but this is going to be a huge issue with the Republicans running for president, obviously making the case to the American people, along with Kevin McCarthy, for the impeachment of Joe Biden. Now, Ron DeSantis' campaign does need a little bit of a pep in their step, does need a little bit of energy, a lot of headlines about how they have restructured their campaign. They fired like half their campaign staffers, and they're going to be doing a massive overhaul there. Maybe they need a little extra energy. Certainly would boost their polls. How do we get our energy in the morning? Blackout coffee. Come on, baby. You know it's blackout coffee time. We got our blackout coffee because blackout coffee is made by Patriots, made right here in the state of Florida. Maybe they'll ship a free bag to Ron DeSantis. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, the reason I drink this coffee is, one, it is freaking delicious, okay? Trust me. Take the Blackout Coffee Challenge. It is a delicious blend of coffee. Two, they love America. They sent me this awesome mug that has a sweet flag on it. And they got a cool skull and everything. It's Blackout Coffee, baby. It's made by patriots, people who believe in your values. There's no more woke of an industry than the coffee industry, and these people are absolute and total degenerates. So support a company that supports you and your conservative values and work ethic. No compromise in taste or quality. Blackoutcoffee.com/Benny. Use the coupon code and get 20% off your first order. Blackoutcoffee.com/Benny. Ladies and gentlemen, what's happening now in Delaware? We have no actual report yet as to what's broken out of the court. I think producer ALX will correct me if I'm wrong on that, but we have yet to hear what has happened inside of the Hunter Biden arrival. We do have the Hunter Biden arrival video in court, but we still have nothing. Hunter Biden is joined by his bong-ripping attorney there, his sugar brother, his Hollywood attorney, buddy who pays all of his bills is there. His name's Kevin Morris. The reason I say bong ripping is because this is why I was literally caught on camera ripping bongs from a balcony inside of his mansion in Los Angeles. So in the 9th hour of this agreement, these evil never rests, right? That's what they say. That's what your grandmother was saying. Evil never rests. In the 9th hour, these people tried to play a prank on the court. They tried to call, apparently one of Hunter Biden's lawyers was chastised by the court for trying to call and get some of the incriminating evidence against Hunter Biden stricken from the court. Jesse Waters has the news. Listen.
And Hunter Biden's attorney called the courthouse clerk today and pretended to be a Republican attorney and told the clerk, oops, you know what? We didn't really mean to file all that whistleblower stuff. Can you guys just strike that from the record? Seriously, Hunter Biden's lawyer made a phony phone call to the court and tried to remove the whistleblower testimony. He called and impersonated the opposing lawyer. Hey, this is a Republican attorney, Chris Clark. Oh, never mind that amicus brief. Just forget about it. That was an accident. Good day, young lady. Was this Hunter's sugar brother's idea? You know, the one who was ripping bong hits off his balcony in Malibu? This sounds like the kind of caper you cook up when you're on cocaine. Hey, guys, you know what we should do? We should just call the courthouse and pretend we're the other lawyer. Democrats just called this whole investigation a clown show, and Hunter Biden's lawyers are making prank calls to the judge on the eve of the plea deal. You can get disbarred for that.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we have some insane breaking news right now out of this Hunter Biden court case. We are gathering it as it's breaking in this very second. It seems as though the Hunter Biden plea deal is falling apart, as was stated by the former assistant FBI director, Chris Schwecker, last night, saying that Hunter Biden's lawyers should be disbarred for their activities. Ladies and gentlemen, stick with us. We have breaking news. Check this out.
It's starting to read like a Grisham novel, isn't it? Apparently his attorneys have about the same ethics standards as he does. And as you pointed out in your monologue, I think this is a clear case for disbarment of the attorney. If the judge lets him off on this, that just falls in line with everything else that's been happening in the Hunter Biden case. But this is egregious, Jesse, and yeah, this can't stand.
Is the plea deal now in jeopardy after this phony phone call?
I think the timing of the plea deal is probably in jeopardy. I would not be surprised at all if the judge put off the sentencing.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have unbelievable clip. It turns out, fortuitous, that clip, clairvoyant Chris Schwecker of the FBI saying that the plea deal is going to fall apart. The plea deal has just fallen apart. We are live, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, Kash Patel will be joining the show soon. The plea deal has just fallen apart. We are gathering our clips for you. We are gathering this news for you. Check out some of the breaking news right now. This is massive, massive stuff. Stay tuned. We have the best production team on the internet streaming. Trust me on this. Stay tuned. We have the clips coming. We have the news coming. Look at this. Hunter Biden's plea deal collapse. Prosecutors and lawyers for the president's son failed to come to an agreement in dramatic courtroom twist. Look at this from Breaking News Online. Hunter Biden's plea deal on tax charges falls apart after judge expresses concerns about the terms of the agreement, according to the Associated Press. Hot diggity damn. Whoa. This is crazy. So Hunter Biden is going to be sent home, sent to prison. Things are not looking great. Maybe this was why they were pranking the court and calling ahead of time. Look at this article from Michael Godwin, who's a spectacular writer, in the New York Post. Judge must nix Hunter Biden's plea deal and show her court won't approve of blatant miscarriage of justice. Those who are smart in the legal profession are saying this needs to be thrown out. We must uphold the judicial here, and there's going to be an enormous amount of pressure on this judge who is in Delaware. This is as easy of a layup as you could have possibly gotten for the Bidens, and they just bounced it off the back of the board, straight back into their face and broke their own nose. Hunter Biden has been sent home with a spanking by this judge right now. Ladies and gentlemen, my team is gathering, processing clips as we have it. Let's read. Attorney General Merrick Garland is a bitter partisan hack, but apparently not a bright one. His timing of giving Hunter Biden a sweetheart deal marks him as dumb as a rock. Garland could have easily buried the 5-year case during Joe Biden's first term before Republicans took over the House. Had he done so, nobody would have really cared much. People would have yelled and screamed. Instead, Garland foolishly waited until the GOP, armed with subpoena power, could demand documents from banks, protect whistleblowers, and hold hearings. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. We know now that the bombshell testimony came despite efforts by Garland and Christopher Wray's FBI to block and stonewall it from Congress, adding further taint to the case, and everybody knows the people who were involved were protecting the first family and protecting the Bidens. Perhaps most importantly, the DOJ lawyer blocked any questions about Joe Biden's role in influence peddling schemes, which netted the families tens of millions of dollars. At every stage, the decision was made to benefit the subject of the investigation. Gary Schlafly from the IRS told Congress, and then they filed that documentation with the court, and now the judge is saying, screw you to the Bidens. Watch this.
What he can confirm, Griff.
Yeah, Harris, I can confirm that this plea deal may be falling apart before our eyes. You know, I've been here reporting outside. Our producer, Jake Gibson, is inside. There's no electronics. There's no cameras. And finally, I said, look, it's been over an hour and a half. Let's see what's going on. I just left the courtroom seconds ago. They're in recess at the moment. Here's what's transpired. The Judge Noriega basically began by asking questions about the plea deal itself, about whether or not the pleading guilty to 2 tax demeanors could be tied to the diversion part, which is avoiding charges, which is a felony on the gun charge. And there was disagreement in that. But the major headline that's transpired in this courtroom that is likely going to be what we're talking about for the rest of the day is Judge Noriega asked the prosecution if there was an ongoing ongoing, existing separate investigation into Hunter Biden right now. The prosecutor saying yes. And what was holding this deal up, and they're in recess now because the defense asked for some time, so the judge granted. What's up in the air is whether or not Judge Noriega will even accept this deal, because this deal would possibly give Hunter some immunity to future charges, and she's not okay with that.
Wow. So this is massive reporting, ladies and gentlemen. Again, this is breaking right now. We have a CNN clip loading for you in a moment. Hunter Biden's plea deal just fell apart in court due to investigations that are still ongoing into potential Pharah violations. This is the kicker. This is massive. So what they are trying to do with this plea agreement is to effectively close the laptop forever. They're trying to stop Hunter Biden from being held accountable in the future for what they may discover with his Foreign Agent Registration Acts, what they may discover in other business dealings. This, of course, wouldn't preclude him being charged by states, but it means that the federal charges would be closed. So this is why they constructed this deal in order to stop any further prosecution of Hunter Biden. They're essentially going to close the file, and the judge just said, F you! We are not going to stop, potentially, the progress on other ongoing investigations. Let's remember this. Hunter Biden hid, I don't know if it's hundreds of thousands, but it's definitely tens of millions from the feds in unpaid taxes. And then every single time you transfer that through a shell company, that's another felony. Hunter Biden is a known drug abuser, had a known rap sheet, got a gun charge, and he's being treated like he had no rap sheet. Hunter Biden should be facing a minimum mandatory sentence of 15 years in prison just for that alone. They haven't even begun to go after the Foreign Agent Registration Act. And now, ladies and gentlemen, CNN, in this unbelievable clip, okay, we have it loaded now. CNN is saying, holy shit, we lost. Watch this reporting from outside of the courthouse from CNN.
Breaking news out of Wilmington, Delaware, from the Hunter Biden plea deal hearing. Our Kara Scannell just ran out from inside the courtroom. Kara, bring us up to speed.
Yeah, John. So as I went back into the courtroom, the hearing had just begun again. The judge was back on the bench, and she was pressing the prosecution on this investigation and the four corners of this plea agreement. One of the prosecutors said that the investigation was very much ongoing, and that she asked him, well, what is not covered in this plea agreement if you were leaving the possibility for there being other future charges? So then the judge said, would this include a possible Pharah charge that's not registering as a foreign agent? The prosecutor said no, the deal would not include that. It was at that point that she had said to the prosecution, if you can charge that, then what does this mean? And the prosecutors, she asked Hunter Biden's attorneys about that, and he said, well, then there's no deal. And the prosecutor said, then there is no deal. So Biden's team said that the plea agreement, as far as they understood it, was now null and void. They were moving ahead to talk about what the next steps would be in this case. So as of right now, the deal appears to be dead and off the table, and it remains to be seen how they're going to move forward. But he has been charged with those 2 misdemeanor tax evasion charges. But one thing we learned is that this investigation is very much still ongoing.
Holy crap, I cannot believe what is happening right now. I got to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, we are honest with you on this show. We thought that this would be a slam. They had set up every single barrier. They had lowered every single barrier. Every single bar had been lowered to the ground. It's laying on the ground. They brought this case to Delaware. They staffed the attorney that was going after Biden with all these Biden apparatchiks. Biden's former spokesperson. And then Bill Barr gives it over to the Delaware court system. And a prosecutor, David Weiss, who's recommended by both senators from Delaware, who are both Democrats, of course. They have lowered the bar. Again, the bars are laying on the ground, and they've still just tripped over them and fallen directly on their faces and broken their noses on this. Truly, spectacularly unbelievable. I'm very, very proud to be joined by the perfect person to talk through all of this. Somebody who has acted as a prosecutor for the DOJ, somebody who's served in the highest levels of government, and somebody who deeply understands justice in this country, who's been the best on this issue, period. The great Kash Patel joining us live to react. Yo, Kash. Dog.
Wow.
What's going on?
Heater of an opening. Woo!
Whoa, what's going on, baby?
Everyone cut off cable news and turn on the Benny Johnson show. That was fire.
We out here.
Okay, so look, I've been a federal public defender. I've been a national security prosecutor. I've been on both sides of the aisle, literally in federal court before tons of federal judges. And a federal judge has the authority not to enter into plea negotiations. And what this judge did, rightfully so, was question the DOJ if there are other criminal conduct related to the plea agreement. She's allowed to do that, or he. And I was not stunned by DOJ's answers, but the specificity that she went to Pharah tells me she knew in the discovery process of this case that that issue had come up. And if that issue was going to be legally precluded from being prosecuted in the future, she as the jurist has the responsibility to demand that answer from the DOJ. And it looks like Hunter Biden's lawyers thought that the Pharah registration, which they can't get a deferral on, which he has to go to federal prison on, which is a felony, they thought they had negotiated their way out of it. And it looks as if they just canned the plea agreement because, having been over there on the defense side, you quietly know when you've lost. And they lost on the Pharah point is my first reaction, which to me tells me the DOJ tried to bury the Pharah conviction.
Wow. Can you please explain this acronym Pharah and what this may mean if they decided, if I'm hearing you correctly, that they are going to push forward with prosecution for Foreign Agent Registration Act?
Yeah, exactly. So Pharah, Foreign Agent Registration Act, very simply means if you're a U.S. citizen, you can work for whoever you want. But if you work for another country in Europe, in Africa, in Southeast Asia, wherever, and you lobby the U.S. government, Congress, White House, whatever, be like, oh, I got, this amazing company who wants to do a deal in the United States. You can do it. You get paid billions of dollars to do it. But the law just says you have to register. You have to put the government on notice, and it doesn't cost you anything. It just says file a piece of paper. It's literally like one page. And it just says, here, I'm registered. You, DOJ, are aware of it. Track it all you want. That's it. If you fail to register and you lobby a foreign government, say you go to the Ukrainians, say you go to the Chinese, and you say, my daddy is going to get you all the private equity deals you want, or my daddy's going to get you a federal prosecutor fired in your home country, then we'll get you the $1 billion. He never registered to do those representative works on behalf of those countries in America. And look, just look what happened to Paul, Trump's former one of his campaign managers.
Yep.
Manafort. He failed to register as a FAR agent. Now, look, DOJ has had an awful track record of prosecuting these people because so many people in government leave and do this conduct and they don't register, which I don't know why. I think they're just trying to be shady, like Hunter Biden. And now this judge is like, so we're just going to decide what laws to not prosecute? I mean, it's pretty keen. It's pretty savvy. Look, the reality is the deal could come back. It's dead for now. And prosecutors have a premonition of going in there and being like, it's our way or the highway. But we all know who they work for: Merrick Garland, Christopher Wray, Daddy, Joe Biden. So they could go back and loop in a FARA plea agreement, but I'm not sure that's going to work in this case, given this explosive rejection by both sides saying the plea deal's off.
So where do we go from here? This is, you must explain this to us. And that's why I'm like praising, you know how much I love ALX, but I'm like, oh, thank you. That is a perfect. I thought that you and I, and I know, like, I've hung out with Kash. Dude, Kash is like a happy guy. He's a joyous person. He's like a fun-loving individual. I did not want to do a down-in-the-mouth sad show with you. I wanted to have something triumphant to talk about because you are a triumphant person. You are a winner. And dude, like, I cannot believe that this has fallen to pieces. I am stunned that this has fallen to pieces. Game theory this with me as to what happens next, because you're the perfect person, because you know inside of these federal courthouses what's going to happen next.
Yeah, so I had said, the federal judge should make this inquiry at least a week ago, and do her job. Don't enter plea negotiations. Question the DOJ, which the judge is lawfully permitted to do, and she did that. And we just went over that. Okay, so now what happens? Well, the answer lies in my book, Government Gangsters, which is pre-order number 1 right now. But we'll get back to that. No. So what has to happen now is the minions from DOJ go back and retreat to Washington, D.C. and say, Mr. Garland, what do we do? And Garland's going to be like, probably throw a fit when they get back there. And because the thing the prosecutor should not have said is the deal is off. That guy just played his hand. You could have asked for a day-long recess. Judge, let me call my boss. I've done it all the time. This is a shift in what we had arranged. Let me go back to main justice. Let me talk to the U.S. attorney. There's a chain of command. But this Yahoo, I don't even know who it is, went in there and just said, F you. And then the Hunter Biden attorney, I don't know if he was still high from his bong hit, but he also came in and said, the deal's off. This guy, I think that as dumb as the prosecution is, I think the defense was dumber in representing Hunter. Their best was to get this resolution across the finish line, no matter what, right? We're done, case over, no felony, no record, misdemeanor probation. From their perspective, they negotiated a brilliant plea deal. Obviously there was leverage in that and corruption involved, but still. And for them to be like, the plea's off, this guy's an idiot. They're acting on arrogance right now. So I think both camps are on fire, which is kind of hilarious, and a little bit of poetic justice. And I'm sure Daddy Joe is getting a phone call right now, and he's going to call Garland, who's going to call Ray, who's going to call Weiss, and they're going to have a huddle and blah, blah, blah. And then they're going to come up with some bogus government speak for why they didn't charge Hunter with Pharah, which they completely should have. And it's going to be some Washington, D.C. excuse. And they'll end up back before this judge probably in a week or two. And they might, if they're smart, they would fold in what we call a global plea deal. Everything. Don't bring it piecemeal. When I was a public defender, I was never allowed to close out part of my client's case. Oh, Mr. Government Man, please give him probation for this one, and then we'll figure out the felonies later. That's a joke. No federal judge would ever accept that. And no DOJ would ever allow that, except if you have a 2-tier system of justice. So kudos to this judge for doing his or her job. I don't even know if it's a he or
her. Yeah.
Her. And I don't even know if he's a Biden appointee or Obama or whatever, but that's the job of a judge.
So it's interesting that you brought that up, the piecemeal aspect of it. Isn't it the Ashcroft rule that you have to charge the highest crime?
So brilliant. So we have a couple of longstanding principles at DOJ. One of them is the Ashcroft rule. You charge for the highest crime you can prove beyond a reasonable doubt. Plea negotiations and all that stuff is later. You don't walk in there and say, I'm going to charge you with the lowest crime, plea you out and forget the rest. That is violative of DOJ policy. Now, plea negotiations happen all the time. So if Hunter had been charged with Pharah, the tax fraud felony, the corruption charges, the bribery, etc., and then they negotiated it down to this plea, that would not have violated the Ashcroft memo. And Merrick Garland, as the Attorney General, has not rescinded or vitiated the Ashcroft memo. So it is still the rule of law through regulation at DOJ. And of course, we know the 2-tier system of justice. They just sort of put it aside. But I think the reason we're here, I can't emphasize this enough, is the brave whistleblowers. These guys have come in and lit their careers on fire. And all they said was, we wanted to continue the investigation. And you said no. And your reasoning for it was completely political. We have evidence that leads to a Biden crime family syndicate. And now you want the scapegoat, Hunter, to go in and take this deal that violates DOJ policy, the law, and how prosecutors are to operate. Because if I was a defense attorney in America right now, and I had a client on a gun charge, I would be citing this case in every district across America to say, I want pretrial diversion. President's son can get it. He's a crack addict. My client's a crack addict. Get me out of felony diversion program.
Yes. Brett Tolman was on the program saying, hey, listen, I brought hundreds of gun charges.
Yeah.
And every single one of these guys did hard time. Hard time. Every single time.
Well, here's
This
the
is
thing
one
about
thing
the
we could.
since we're going down the rabbit hole, here's the thing about the diversion. I defended hundreds of federal gun cases. Pretrial diversion is not a decision of the court, solely made by the attorney general, not his office, by the AG. And they say you are not going to be charged and diverted out of the judicial system because you were charged with a crime involving a weapon and a narcotics. But to get that, you have to be a current drug addict. You can't be like, hey, I was a drug addict 5 years ago, give me diversion. That's not how it works. I got rejected for diversion representing many clients because they weren't current drug addicts. So yet another destruction of DOJ policy when it comes to giving out daddy's son a get out of jail free card on a gun crime where he should be doing a minimum 5-year sentence. He got diversion improperly, unethically. And I think this judge sniffed that out as well. You know, she can't interfere with the diversion aspect of it. That is solely a DOJ decision. But I think she was keenly aware of it and used the Pharah issue as the sort of lance in this case.
The judge's image is on screen right now. This is Judge Marilyn Norica. She has taken her gavel and shoved it up sideways where the sun don't shine with Hunter Biden's legal defense. This is going to mean bad things for Joe Biden. Kash Patel on Truth Social had a nuclear truth saying no special counsel. Enough with these special counsels. We need impeachment, effectively, right? Like, we need to go after the people who are in charge. They are going to be pissed today. This is a DC in panic moment. Can you explain your thoughts on this? Because, Kash, I saw this everywhere.
Yeah.
You're saying that in order to bust up this crime racketeer, we're going to have to actually go for the jugular.
And the only people in the crosshairs are Wray and Garland. That's it. Stop with this fairy tale notion of, yeah, let's impeach Joe Biden. Who cares? Everyone knows that guy's corrupt. Today he just said 100 people died from COVID. 100. I mean, this guy is out of his mind.
He cured cancer, Kash.
Right. And also, sorry, I forgot that. I should have led with that. He cured cancer.
Yeah.
All in one day. He is not the win. Look, and special counsels are not the win. Do you guys not remember the special counsel that was Robert Mueller? The special counsel that was John Durham? Do you want Rod Rosenstein appointed by this Justice Department, Merrick Garland, to be special counsel for the Hunter Biden, Joe Biden saga? No, this DOJ will not get to the bottom of it. But an impeachment proceeding against Wray and Garland is a trial in the House of Representatives where the Republicans have the majority, where they act as the prosecutors. And here's the kicker. They produce the documentation for the American people to see live in trial, day after day after day against Garland and Wray. Then those guys get in the seats and you ask them, why did he get the sweetheart plea deal? What happened to Pharah? Why did you kick off an IRS investigative team of 5 years? Why did you block a judicial decision to prosecute Hunter Biden? And why have you lied repeatedly about retaliating against whistleblowers on this case, about the conduct of your officers in court on this? I mean, there's so many explosive things that can come. And even Congress can get one or two of those things right. So impeaching Biden, whatever. Special counsels, you guys are idiots. No special counsel. Impeach Wray and Garland.
Kash, I hope you don't mind watching a piece of breaking news. We've played CNN and Fox both covering the plea deal falling apart. Now we have monster reporting here from CBS News, who's been doing actually wonderful job on this reporting. Catherine Herridge saying, quoting Hunter Biden's attorneys, saying the deal is now null and void. We're going to play the clip. I'd love to get your reaction. Here we go.
Yeah, let's do it.
A member of the U.S. Attorney's team told the court that there was no deal. And one of the lead attorneys for Hunter Biden, Chris Clark, said as far as he was concerned, quote, the plea deal was null and void. It was an extremely complex legal discussion over the last couple of hours, but I would boil it down to this. It does appear that the two parties have been talking past each other for months. In this respect, the U.S. Attorney's Office says there's an ongoing investigation and there could be criminal charges in the future.
The quote, the plea deal is now null and void. Kash, take me away, baby.
I mean, from a defense attorney's perspective, to say that, you're a moron. You are cutting your client's legs out because you are announcing to the court, forget the public, right? Who cares? You just told the judge, you're done. It's out. Game over. We're going to trial, which means bye-bye diversion, which brings back the felony gun charge, which the prosecutors must now bring to a grand jury and charge him. Then he has to go get arraigned on that gun charge. Then he has to have a trial date, and they got to answer the questions on Pharah. So I just think these guys have been privy to so much royal treatment by the Justice Department and FBI. They probably just thought, well, daddy's in charge. We'll get whatever we want. And I think some of these prosecutors are probably going to get removed off this case for doing what they did quietly. And I think Hunter Biden's legal team is probably going to have to forget bong hits. They're going to need to start mainlining some serious narcotics for this.
No, hey, listen, they could start in the White House visitor log section. There's plenty of things squirreled away in those little cubby's holes, which I'm sure you know well, actually. Like, I know exactly where they left the coke. This is insane. We don't know who it was. This is the most monitored building on planet, and I've been in that. I put this phone in that cubbyhole.
Yeah.
I have personally put this phone in that cubbyhole. I know exactly where it is. So if they need something, I guess you got to know where to find it. Final question for you, Kash. I deeply appreciate it. Talk us through. You've game theoried for us what might happen next. If this goes to trial, let's say you were acting as an agent of the government, which you have done in hundreds, maybe thousands of cases. Yeah. Let's say you were acting as an agent of the DOJ, and you actually were going to take it to Hunter Biden. How would you start?
I would say I want to avoid a trial. I don't want discovery to go out the door. I don't want to go to a grand jury because the DOJ doesn't want you to see everything. Now, of course, I'd be a corrupt prosecutor if I was saying those things.
Yes.
So they're trying to cover up now the corruption. And I don't think there's a plea agreement in the world that, according to this defense attorney, that is viable now. So what a ethical prosecutor would do now is game on. Judge, give me a trial date.
What would you do? Yeah, what would you do if you were actually trying to lock up Hunter Biden? How would you
demand a trial date? Judge, we tried to negotiate. Why is he treated like anybody else? We actually offered him diversion, a get out of jail free card, a non-felony, and misdemeanors. He said no, which is his right. It's his constitutional right to do that. And what happens every time after a plea deal breaks apart is very simple. Go get the jury. We're doing jury selection. If I was the judge, I'd issue a trial date in the next couple of weeks, start jury selection, and that's it. He shouldn't be treated any differently. And the DOJ should be prepping for trial.
Wow. Do you trust the Delaware jury pool?
I probably do trust the Delaware jury pool. I don't trust Merrick Garland or Christopher Wray and David Weiss and the team of thugs they have assembled on this thing. Because here's the thing. They covered up the corruption of the first family and his son. They always do that. It's the same crew from Russiagate. Lisa Monaco is the number 2 at DOJ who authored the Russiagate hoax. The same people, Chris Wray and all these clowns who covered up Russiagate and thought they would never get caught, Comey, McCabe, Strzok, everybody, got caught in the cover-up. And they repeat it every time. It's the one thing you can count on government gangsters to do, is to have egos that are so enormous that they cover up the corruption thinking they'll never get caught. And they just got caught again. So game on.
So final quick question for you. A pardon? Could Joe Biden pardon his son here?
He could. He could pardon it. And so remember, pardons don't work just on criminal counts. Pardons cover subjects. So Joe Biden can come in there and say, I am pardoning my son for any and all activity related to Ukraine and China, whatever, the gun, anything. It's all federal. So he could very well do that. It is lawful. It's constitutional. But, oh, boy, if he does that, I mean, it's going to, the world's already on fire. I guess you'd light it on fire 10 times over.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We'll go from Barbie to Oppenheimer. I was wanting to talk with you about one subject. I hope you don't mind. The viewership's going insane right now. So if you have 2 minutes, do you mind one final question
No, not at all.
Barack Obama, did he know? Did he know? This is all pursuant to Ukraine. This is all pursuant to the Obama administration, which is what every Republican, which is what every conservative, every independent gets wrong when they're messaging on this. That this is an Obama administration trial. This is about Obama and his administration. He gave Ukraine to Joe Biden. He knew what was going on, and clearly the State Department knew what was going on based on their own records. And so this is actually a trial of Obama technically. What is the what did Obama, what do you think Obama knew? And what culpability could this have for his record and for people who worked in that administration?
Yeah, okay. So shameless plug, go to Government Gangsters right now, pre-order my book, pre-sale, going out in September. It's heading up to #1. I'm shameless, but I don't care. The answers to many of the questions we've talked about are in this book, and I name every single name of every single corrupt government actor. Now, Obama, good segue. So Obama's out. Politically, maybe he doesn't really care unless Michelle is going to run. So that's the kicker. If she decides, whether it's this sequence or 4 years from now, 6 years from now, but everybody said Obama was the smartest guy, and I used to work in the Obama administration. He's not stupid. Of course he knew. He assigned Joe Biden to take on the Ukraine so he could have an arm's length distance and now come in later when they got caught and say, well, I didn't do that. My vice president, Joe Biden, did that. You know, that guy, you know, he's curing cancer. So I don't know about this guy. And I also think going after Obama right now is not the win. Just like I don't think going after Joe Biden right now is the win or has been. We have to stay razor sharp focused at Congress where there's our only accountability and go after FBI and DOJ, Garland and Wray and their crew. And I think when we do that, we will get the documentation that answers your question. Well, how do you know Obama knew? Emails, memorandums, text messages, all this stuff exists. They're just never going to release it unless Congress impeaches Wray and Garland. You can trace it back to Obama. You could trace it back to Joe Biden. You could go to Hunter, the brother, the sister, the wife, whatever. It all comes in, not to mention all the rogue text messages you're going to get from more of the lovebirds and slanderous stories that were running around. It's just government corruption in the United States of America that the Democrats said Republicans did, but they're the ones that actually did it in reality.
The lovebirds is not lost on me. Not lost on me. Is Trump really going to win? No, we'll stop him. These people are such trash, and you expose them all. Government Gangsters, there it is on screen, ladies and gentlemen. Governmentgangsters.com is where you need to go to pre-order Kash's book. We're going to make it the #1 book in the country. And man, you're so lucky you got that snap. That's such a great photo. You walking off Marine One, dude, with the briefcase. Dude, put it on a shirt. I'll wear it for the show.
I'll do it.
Kash, the salt shakers are filling up in Washington, D.C. They are overflowing in Washington, D.C. And we thank you for your part in helping fill these salty, salty salt shakers. God bless you, Kash.
Thank you, my friend. Talk soon. Great show.
Let me see those salt shakers in the comment section. I got this beautiful comment section right in front of me. Get me see the salt flowing. I want that salt to flow, baby. I want that salt to flow. Get those salt shakers in the comment section. Punch the salty salt shakers. Ladies and gentlemen, the Benny Brigade, we out here. This is an army. We are out here. Wow. I mean, such an unbelievable moment, ladies and gentlemen, in American history. Do you feel the energy shift? I feel the energy shift. You feeling that a little bit? I feel the energy shift. Also, Royce, I need a salt shaker in the studio. I want to get a salt shaker. Maybe I should get a big salt grinder. We'll work on it. This is a show run by you for you. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, did you know that if they impeach Joe Biden, it's our last story of the day, but if they impeach Joe Biden, they will indeed impeach the man who is single-handedly, while he can't walk across a flat stage without falling directly on his face or his ass, or his diaper, they will be impeaching a man who has indeed cured cancer. That's right. This is our nuclear cringe of the day.
cure cancer. They looked at me like, why cancer? Because no one thinks we can. That's why, and we can. We end cancer as we know it.
No, we've ended cancer as we know it. Okay. The hubris of these people. The hubris. Can you toss up? I mean, yes, Alzheimer's. People in the people saying it's comments. People saying it's Alzheimer's. We got some salt. We got salty. We got salt shakers flowing into the comment section. Ladies and gentlemen, we are a show built by you, for you, and we do indeed love you. Can we toss some of those salt shakers up on the screen? Throw a couple of those up. There we go. Salty pure blood. There he is. There's some salt shakers. There you go, salt shaker. Burn the playhouse to the ground. Yes, the salt shakers are flying crystal moody, which is actually what Joe Biden, what Hunter Biden's Secret Service name is. Crystal meth moody. Oh yes, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This salty, salty salt shaker. I wish to gobble up the salt. Your tears, they power this show. Don't you love the fact that, like, this community we're building, we can pull in all these big names. Kash Patel can respond live to this. We can celebrate together the collapse of these people because they're hubris, because this is the way that God designed it. He designed you to look forward in life, to stand up straight, to be upstanding, and to say, I trust in you. I trust in God. I trust in my Savior. I know that there is darkness. There's a reason why salt and light is needed. If this world was not fallen, then we wouldn't need a Savior. But we need a Savior. Man is fallen. And that we are going to press onward. Christian soldier, Benny Brigade, we are going to press onward even as the darkness seems to be closing in around us. Were you prepared for Hunter Biden to get a little slap on the wrist today and walk free after all of his diseased, degenerate crimes? Go home to daddy with his psychotic, bloodthirsty dog and his bags of coke laying everywhere, and the shower upstairs that he showers with his daughter in? And he showers with his dog too. Joe Biden broke his foot showering with his dog, right? Yanked his dog's tail in the shower. That's how Joe Biden breaks his foot. Creepy, degenerate, old, dementia patient sitting there, unable to acknowledge his own granddaughter because he hates human life. He hates the lives of his own grandkids. What a sick, degenerate freak. Don't you love handing these people L's? Don't you love handing them L's, baby? Subscribe to our channel. Subscribe to our podcast. Make sure you're here to watch the show live. By supporting us, you support our ability to go after this Leviathan, this machine. That is what we're here for. And we know that there will be justice in this life or the next. We know that God's got our back. We know that Sodom and Gomorrah, which is, are we living in Sodom and Gomorrah today? Yes. Yes, we are. That was a very sick and depraved society. They were doing stuff to angels that God sent that I can't even describe here on the show because it'll be taken down. Let me tell you, we live in Sodom and Gomorrah today. And God said, show me one good man. Through his angels, he said, show me one good man. Will you be that good man? Will you be that good woman? One moral good movement? One moral good woman or man, mother or father, grandparent, son or daughter can save the entire nation. Stand up with me and be that person. Every single show, we end with a Bible verse so that you can have the courage to march forward. And today, of course, is going to be no different. The verse of the day, ladies and gentlemen, from Psalms. We're doing a lot of Psalms recently. I love that. Behold, the eye of the Lord is on those who fear him, on those who hope in his steadfast love. Let that be your hope. Jim Caviezel was on. Passion of the Christ actor, Sound of Freedom actor. He was on and he says, people don't fear God. They fear Satan and they don't fear God. That's the opposite of what the Bible tells us to do. You should fear God because God's the one who's going to lay your life out before you and judge you. It's not going to be Satan. Satan is here to trick you, to make that a very bad experience for you, and to capture your eternal soul. No. God is the one you should fear. And the reason I love Psalms is because David is sitting here writing Psalms in the desert, in the caves, as he's being chased by the leader of his own nation that he helped save. Does it feel like we're being chased right now? Does it feel like our own nation that we love so very much is turned against us? Yes. Yes, it does. Yes. And so that is why we must look to the scriptures, look to those who came before us, who had these nations run by evil men and evil people because they are always attracted to power. They always defy God and look for power unto themselves. We must look now to the scriptures and look for our hope. Behold, the eye of the Lord is on those who fear the Lord and those who hope in his steadfast love. Ladies and gentlemen, we shall win. We shall prioritize our lives correctly, God, family, country, and march onward. It's your boy Benny. See ya.